Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to crack open a really unique window into history, a story about a debate that got surprisingly heated among beekeepers in East Germany, right on the cusp of the Berlin Wall coming down.
All right, here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll set the scene behind the Iron Curtain. Then we'll get into the big debate itself. We'll look at why the new ideas actually won out, what this revolution in a box really meant in practice, and finally, we'll talk about the legacy these innovators left behind.
You know, for most beekeepers in the US, the world of beekeeping looks pretty much the same everywhere. But behind the Iron Curtain, a totally different tradition was king. And this wasn't some new fad. It was a practice so deeply rooted, it had survived more than a century of unbelievable political upheaval. We're talking the German Empire, the Weimar Republic, the Nazi regime, and right on into the communist era. So you've definitely seen this before, right? The stackable, top-access hive. It's the global standard, the Langstroth. But what if I told you that in East Germany, showing up with one of these was a radical, almost heretical act? Because this was the norm. It's called the Hinterbehandlungsbeute. Think of it like a piece of furniture, a fixed cabinet that you work from the back. These were often kept safe inside special sheds or even wagons. This wasn't just a piece of equipment, you see. It was a symbol of stability, of how German beekeeping had been done for, well, forever. And this slide, this really gets to the heart of it. It shows two completely different ways of thinking. One is all about being flexible, scaling up, and managing whole boxes at a time. The other is about stability, protection, and carefully managing one frame at a time. Two totally different worlds. Okay, so let's jump to the mid-1980s. We're in the German Democratic Republic, the GDR, and a small group of beekeepers is about to light a match that will start a huge firestorm. And this wasn't just some friendly chat over coffee. Look at this timeline. In 1987, this forward-thinking club in Broderstorf gets started, and by '88, the debate kicked off by members like Wolfgang Pianka and Jürgen Blom was literally raging in beekeeping journals all across the country. It got so big that even the official state publications had to acknowledge it. They basically said, hey, this clash of ideas, it's messy, but it's how we move forward. That's a huge admission at the time. So why? Why was this new hive, which was based on an American design, of all things, such a big deal? Well, the innovators didn't just rely on opinion. They built their case on pure, cold, hard logic. And here's the key thing to get. They weren't trying to reinvent the wheel. They went with the Langstroth frame size for a very simple reason. More than half the beekeepers on the entire planet were already using it successfully. It was a proven system. And this table right here, this is where the rubber really meets the road. It shows the core biological argument from an expert named Heinz Lawrence. The longer Langstroth frame was just better for the bees. It gave them a long, unbroken path to their food stores, which was absolutely crucial for surviving those brutal German winters. And it wasn't just about the frame. The hive itself was designed to tackle a huge, chronic problem in the old hives: moisture. The new design, with its simple lid and breathable wood, meant no more moldy combs, just healthier, stronger colonies. I mean, they debated everything, right down to the tiniest details, like this interlocking joint called der Falls. Was it worth the extra cost? Did it pinch too many bees? In the end, they decided the benefits, like stability during transport and better mite control, were just too good to pass up. But you have to understand, this was never just about a new piece of wood. It was about a completely new way of working, a philosophy that promised to be incredibly more efficient. The entire system was built around this one powerful German concept, Zargenwirtschaft. It basically means box-based management. The idea is you stop fiddling with individual frames and you start thinking in terms of whole hive bodies. And check this out. This is a perfect example of the time savings. Making a new colony, which used to be this really finicky, time-consuming job, suddenly became a simple, 4-step process. You're just swapping boxes around, no more pulling out frame after frame. It's brilliant. Just let that quote sink in for a second. We're not talking about a small improvement here. We're talking about needing less than a third of the time. This was a complete game changer that let beekeepers manage way more hives way more effectively. So, the big question is, what happened? Did these East German rebels and their crazy ideas actually win out? Well, as it turns out, history proved them right. Big time. See, these beekeepers in Broderstorf, they were so far ahead of their time. They were basically beta testing the future. They anticipated what one source calls the triumphant advance of the stackable hive that would completely take over German beekeeping after the country reunified.
So when you look back, this wasn't just some little local argument. It was a dress rehearsal for a massive nationwide change. It's an incredible story about how a small, determined group of people can see the future and just start building it, even when everyone else is telling them they're wrong.
It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What traditions do we just accept as the way things are done today that might be on the edge of their own quiet revolution? Thanks so much for joining us for this explainer.